Today's actually very nice update day. We've got 3 packages here, one of which doesn't contain anime, but does contain something that I think we all want to see. And then the other 2, of course, are anime. That was one of the anime packages. This, I think, would be the non... Come on, open. And in here, you can see it's Super Mario 3D World and The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. These should be fun to play, although that's probably going to happen after Thanksgiving. Speaking of non-anime stuff, there's also the DVD version of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Classic. So classic that I'm actually... Well, I guess I wouldn't say that I'm not looking forward to seeing it. It's just... There's a part of me that's like, my family would watch it multiple times every single year, and sometimes you watch something enough and you get tired of seeing it. This, of course, this box had the major stuff, and then we got 2 things that came in. And it's probably worthwhile to also get this one out of the way. I guess just the front. It's another Adult Source Media compilation series, Hentai Ass Fanatic. Whatever. Let's talk about the stuff that I'm actually going to go into detail. So first of all, we got the original 1973 TV series Cutie Honey, which is actually pretty nice. I do believe it's is this a Go Nagai work? I'm pretty sure it's Go Nagai. I don't know. I also haven't eaten in 9 hours, so maybe I should have grabbed a bite before starting, but maybe it's not a big deal. So, either way, it's nice to kind of get your hands on a classic TV series, or I think it's nice. This is a discotheque release, so it's Japanese with English subtitles, and you can see there are 4 discs. Let's do Accel World next, I guess, since part of that was on the top. And there's both the DVD and the Blu-ray versions here. I don't know much about the series itself. I am a little bit curious, though. As a Viz release, there's probably not much point in comparing the DVD and Blu-ray versions, but since I'm just thorough like that, and we can do that, I might as well do that, right? So we got our DVD version. That graphic definitely looks very different from the one on the front. Although I guess the pig is kind of comical looking, so maybe that's not too different. And the Blu-ray version has the same 2 discs, or disc images apparently. I was just looking to see that it said Blu-ray. For those curious, it is Region A only. The Blu-ray is. Next up, we're going to look at the High School of the Dead OVA. It's the Drifters of the Dead OVA. I do believe this came with one of the manga. So the fact that it's here now is nice, even if it's not necessarily spectacular. I do believe this would be something like a fan service-y episode. And for a series like High School of the Dead, that probably means there's not going to be too much content-wise to it, but that's okay, because, you know, I kind of knew it would be. It's just nice to have everything, I guess, related to High School of the Dead. So here we have the DVD disc, sorry. I was trying to decide if this felt like it had the powder in it or not, but no, the consistency of this case is weird. And then we got the Blu-ray version, which looks like it has the same sort of disc. Next up, we've got Wolf Children, which was, I'd actually say this is probably the #1 thing I'm looking forward to this week. But there's a lot of good stuff this week, so it's tough competition. This is from the same person who did The Girl Who Leapt Through Time and Summer Wars. Now, I'm not a big fan of Summer Wars, but I am a big fan of The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. And if Summer Wars didn't have those problems that pissed me off, then I might have a different opinion about it. So I see 2 DVD discs, disc 1 and disc 2. Then we got our Blu-ray disc, which is green, and it's actually really hard to see the image on it. There we go. Just had to get it the right angle. Unfortunately, this one is a region A only, so people who were hoping it would be multiple, unfortunately, have to deal with that. And then finally we have Arcana Famiglia, la storia della Arcana Famiglia. I have absolutely no idea what this is, or if this is even familiar. This is probably dubbed. Yeah, it's dubbed, because the Blu-ray release did not ship, but it is being released on Blu-ray as well. That said, the DVD version's here now, so all's right with the world, I guess. And being unable to pronounce the title aside, that would be the end of this week's additions to the collection, other than those non-anime and that one hentai thing I showed before, which isn't too bad. Although that said, unfortunately, Little Buster's Blu-ray version almost made it here today, but it'll show up tomorrow. But for those of you who are waiting for that, that's important to note, because I think at least 1 or 2 of y'all were talking about it being delayed and wishing it wasn't, wondering when it would be in stock. So the answer is, my copy shipped yesterday, so it'll arrive tomorrow. Simple as that. But let's see. Anime I watched. So, oh man, I can't remember the name. McKenzie. I mean, I remember it started with an M and had some K's in it, but sometimes the names blur together. So for McKenzie, I did finish watching that, including the OVA that is on the Blu-ray. I didn't watch all the little training camp OVA things, but at that point I was actually transitioning to multitasking, and so I didn't want to watch something subtitled only. My thoughts on the series were that I was actually pretty disappointed with it. Let's see. I mean, I've talked about this in the comments, so maybe it's a bit repetitive talk about it, but I think after last week's review I got pretty angry at it, or maybe I said that in last week when I did the update a day later. But the overall summary is, it had some neat premises, but I kind of felt like it was distracted. And I can kind of tolerate the massive amounts of fan service. I mean, it was just like continuously with no excuse. We need nipples peeking through half the women's clothing, and then when a girl jumps across the screen and we haven't had any fan service for a couple of minutes, well, we have to just pretend that the clothes are not there and draw the girl in her underwear only. And like I said, I can kind of tolerate that thing, but this is another one of those anime that I think takes the violence against males thing a little too far, insofar as I guess I was kind of able to identify it a little bit better this time because of how angry it made me, because basically it was playing off this concept of all men are perverts, all men are assholes, blah 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 blah, and it kind of culminated in one episode where the main character was blamed for a fight that didn't happen, and he just sort of accepted it, and that really pissed me off, because it's a common meme that you'll find in a lot of shows where the guy and girl have a fight, and from an objective standpoint it is both their faults, but because the guy didn't let the girl have her way for no reason. They consider what the guy did a bad thing. The show does. And McKenzie kind of plays along similar lines. Unfortunately, it's highly distracted by this, by not only having the characters say that sort of stuff and do physical comedy kind of related to it, but also to have the main characters live up to that disgusting stereotype, I guess. And honestly, that's why the anime didn't sit well with me. It's not something that I ignore very easily, and when an anime kind of goes out of its way to make it hard to ignore, it's hard to find it entertaining. But the good news is that I finished that relatively quickly and watched Good Luck Girl, aka, oh, I've got it right here, Bin Baogami Ga. And I thought that one was absolutely hilarious. It was definitely spectacular. I loved all the little references. Probably my favorite one being when Bobby does the Napa death. But there were just so many in there. I never expected or saw anything coming. And it kept me... It just really kept me entertained. It started with, oh, here's an amusing concept. And it's like, all right, let's see what we can do with it. And they just have fun with it. At the end of episode 2, I knew I was already in a series that was like done by people who are trying to make an entertaining series. And I guess if I'm mentioning this after McKenzie, it's probably worthwhile to mention, this is the same sort of anime that's like, oh yeah, there's violence against men happening, but this is a really good example of something that's easy to just ignore, because it doesn't play it off like all men do this. It just plays it off like these are particularly disturbed individuals doing this. Otherwise, everybody's just extreme stereotypes, including the main character. I'm not sure if I would call the poverty girl. Is she an extreme stereotype? I don't know. But the truth of the matter is, it plays off of those really, really, really well. It kind of, you can watch it and you can say, it knows it's being stupid. And then, when that's aside, there's also this kind of interesting underlying idea that's maybe sort of reminiscent of something like A Christmas Carol, where, Ebenezer Scrooge goes through an event that kind of makes him a better person, and he goes through hardships forced upon him by supernatural beings. And this one's kind of reminiscent of that, except that if you gave Scrooge, I guess, a Ghostbuster pack, and maybe no place to really store the ghosts, so he couldn't really completely get rid of them, but it was just this continuous war between Scrooge and these ghosts, and he's just ever so slightly learning. Like, the ghost of Christmas Future comes along, and he realizes he'll die alone or whatever, but at the same time kind of refuses to acknowledge it and fights the ghost. So if you basically made an anime version of something like that and put in an amusing number of references to some fairly more mainstream titles. I kind of mentioned the DBZ reference, but there was multiple DBZ reference. Death Note, One Piece, Naruto, Lupin the Third, and oh yeah, there was a Case Closed one. There's just so many, and a bit more mainstream than I think they tended to be, but still really cleverly done. And yet, basically after that, I wasn't doing a whole lot of anime watch. Oh wait, actually no, I rewatched. I did do more anime watching than just that. The reason I'm thinking I didn't is because I started up doing Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate stuff again, because since I don't play online a whole lot, I've just been progressing really slowly on my own when I do. I had a friend finally catch up to where I was, but after that we took a breather and we haven't really gotten into it again, so it's been a couple of months and I'm now going forward again, seeing how far I can go on my own. Which is surprisingly far, I guess. I'm now fighting pairs of two Brachydios and G rank just to try and find a Brachypolonium. Although that said, since that's rare enough and I would like to get that before Thanksgiving, I may try and host something on online. I just might have to. But all that aside, I have been randomly watching, and I did finish rewatching episodes of Ghost Stories, specifically the English dub. Now, this is the one with the professionally done, not so serious ADV dub, and I was rewatching that. It was really quite surprising how the YouTube video I've gone to for rewatching the funniest scenes from the series. I guess there's actually 3 of those videos, but I've generally only rewatched the first one and shown that one to people. It's funny how it feels like the series is much smaller than I would have if I hadn't had all these close landmarks. Too bad that doesn't work for everything. 2001: The Space Odyssey is still very long, even though you watch. But I'm going on a tangent. I need to stop going on a tangent because I've got pizza waiting for me to eat. So that's all the stuff. And again, that means that I'm probably not going to be able to talk too much about Super Mario 3D World, which is probably the major thing to have arrived here. But that's because I'll be doing monster hunting. And then maybe after Thanksgiving, when I have the nice Friday, Saturday, and Sunday all to myself, I'll probably fire it up and maybe have something to talk about next week. And I'll watch Wolf Children and High School of the Dead, and I'll probably start maybe Accel World. I don't know. Yeah, if y'all want to suggest something, I'll definitely have a little bit of a wiggle room there. So, feel free. All that aside, I guess y'all have a nice week and a happy Thanksgiving, and I'm probably not going to process those Thanksgiving videos I took of recording that stuff, so that'll probably be posted after Thanksgiving. So yeah, y'all have a nice week.